Hi, welcome back to Divalicious Education. Today I'm going to show you how to multiply using arrays. Okay, remember multiplication relates to equal grouping. Now when we do arrays are arranging objects into columns and rows. So when you think about it, you have to know what columns are. So think about when you hear columns on a building. The columns on a building run up and down. Okay? So that's the way columns run in an array. They are the ones that go up and down. So this is what an array looks like. Let's say I wanted to do 5 times 3. The first number shows me how many rows I need. And rows run horizontal. They go this way. Okay? And the second factor, 5 groups of 3, the 3 shows me how many are in each row. So 3 should be the number of columns that I have. And columns run vertical, up and down, like the columns on a building. Boop. So when we make our array for this, to make our 5 rows, we start here. And I'm going to use dots. And I'm just going to make my 5. Now I want you to notice that I'm taking my time with the dots. One reason that I tell my students to do this is because if you rush and you make your dots too small, as you go on to make your other columns, over here it's going to mess you up because you're going to have a difficult time telling whether it's a real dot or whether was it just a stray pencil mark. So you want to make whatever objects you draw nice and bold. You also want to give them their own space so that you can keep them kind of equal and kind of neat. So I've created now 5 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And in each row I need to put 3. So as long as I space them out like this, it will be easy to see them. And I do the same thing for the next row and the next row. And I keep going until I've done all 5 rows, and I kind of want to keep them in their column, and I want to try to keep them in their row. What you will notice is that your array will always form a rectangle or a square for you. What this does now is it helps me to count it. It's a little like repeated addition because now I can count, skip count in those rows because I know that this is 3. And I tell my students to write it down because as you get into larger numbers, if you miscount, it makes it easier to go back and fix your mistake rather than having to start all the way over. So know that this row is 3, and I know that this row is, 6. And if I'm not sure what the next number in the pattern is, I can count it. 7, 8, 9. And then I know that another group of 3 would be 12. Good. And then I know that the next group of 3 would make 15. So what that shows me is that 5 groups of 3 equals 15. It gives me a product of 15. Awesome. Now that you kind of understand the concept, let's try it one more time. We want to make sure we have equal rows and equal columns. I'm going to do it right over here because we have enough space to do another product. So this time, let's try 4 times 7. So I know that I have 4 rows of 7. So I'm going to make my 4 rows. This time I think I'm going to use X's. Okay, because an array doesn't have to be a certain shape or a dot or anything like that. It just has to be a repeating object. And I'm sorry, my camera's going out of focus, but we'll get it right. So we have our 4 rows. Okay, then the next thing we want to do is we want to make sure for each of those rows we put how many in that row. Good. We want to put 7 in each of those rows. So I'm going to make sure that I give them their space and then I put 7 here. Now, one mistake some children make is that they forget to count that one they've already made. We want to count this as one of that 7. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. From there, I want to go to my next row, my second row, and I just want to copy those X's right underneath those X's that I made. Because if I've already made 7, I just have to continue to make that 7. And then down here, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just copying those X's. I kind of put a little bit too much space between here, so I kind of do want to be careful that I make sure that I put 7 and that they line up. And then I want to do it right underneath here. Then what that lets me do is it lets me now count, because I know that this row has, right, 7. So that another group of 7, I could count it, and I know it's 14, and then I would need to count another 7, and that would be 21. Great. And then I would need to count another 7, and that would be 28, so that I know 4 times 7 equals 28. So let's try to use some of our arrays. So let's do 6 times 3. 6 times 3 means 6 groups of 3, and in the case of an array, 6 rows of 3. So I need 6 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I've created my 6 rows. And each row needs to have 3 in it. 1, 2, 3. And then I'm just going to copy that 3 for each of the rows that I made. And notice that each of my objects are in their own column. They're also in their own rows. And nice and neat. Now that means that I can go ahead and count. I know that this is a group of 3, which means 3, and another 3 would mean 6, and another 3, 9, and another 3, 12, and another 3, 15, and another 3, 18. Awesome. So 6 times 3 equals, good, it gives us a product of 18. If you want to pause the video, go ahead. I'm going to give you 2 equations. Let's see if you can work it out, and then restart the video to see if you made an array. So let's try 4 times 8. Okay. And the other one, let's try 3 times 9. Go ahead and pause the video and see if you can make an array to find the product for each of these problems. Great. I hope you were able to give it a try. So let's look and see what you did. I know that this would mean 4 rows of 8. So I'm going to make my 4 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4. And in each row I need 8. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then I'm going to continue to repeat that until I have finished my whole array. And now we're going to skip count and see if we can figure that out. So now you have your 4 rows of 8. So we can go ahead and skip count by them. We know that one group would make 8. Another row would make 16. Very good. Another row of 8 would make 24. And another 8 would make, that's right, 32. So now that we know that the product of 4 and 8 would make 32. So 4 times 8 equals 32. The last one we're going to try was 3 times 9. So you need to make 3 rows. In each of those rows you need to put 9, remembering to count that first one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then I need to make another row, copying those, making sure they line up in their columns and their rows. And then we're going to make a third row, copying them in their columns and their rows. So we know that one row would make 9. Another row of 9 would make, great, 18. And a third row of 9 would make 27. So that 3 times 9 equals 27. Good. I hope showing you how to make arrays to show multiplication will be another strategy that you can use to find the product of two factors. Bye. That was another Divalicious education video. Be sure to subscribe to my channel so you can be updated when we upload more videos, or check out my website at www.thirdgradeeye.weebly.com, or find my materials at teacherspayteachers.com/store/Divalicious. Bye.